It seems that the days of monster movies are long gone, where your monster was shrouded in secrecy and mystery and nothing was revealed until the end of the movie. Everything was alluded to, but nothing was shown. But you don't have to go back nearly a century to find a movie that still did that. No, there was one in 1988, and that movie was Child's Play. Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here, and today I want to talk to you guys about Child's Play from 1988. But more specifically, I want to tell you guys why I think Child's Play is truly a monster movie. Now, I'm sure when you hear me say monster movie, you're probably going back into the black and white era. You're probably thinking of the classic Universal monsters. And that's largely fair, because that's usually what I think of when I think of a monster movie. Or I think back to Godzilla in his heyday, before the Americanized Monsterverse, which I am a fan of, but it doesn't feel the same. Now, there's a specific reason I call Child's Play a monster movie. You see, making movies like this is a lost art these days. No writer or director seems to have the patience or really the interest at all in teasing the audience and leaving breadcrumbs but not revealing things until the end. It seems like they're worried that everybody has attention spans of goldfish and they have to show something every few minutes or you're going to become disinterested. Now, maybe that's true for the newer generation, but people my age and older than my age, that's not the case at all. And I'm actually here to give you guys a story about how I don't know if that's even true with the newest generations. I showed my son his first horror movie, Child's Play 1988. He kept asking me for weeks to watch this thing. Now, keep your opinions of my parenting aside, I watched movies like this when I was a kid. I think a lot of us that became horror fans did. Also, Child's Play is a relatively tame one to show a kid. I finally showed it to him, watched it with him, and I gotta tell you, he was glued to the screen for an hour and a half. He asked a bunch of questions, he was really intrigued by what he was seeing on screen. At no point did I feel like he was losing interest in the movie. And that really got me to thinking. I don't think that the formula for a monster movie has truly ever gone out of style. I think that when you can keep the audience engaged and make them ask questions, I think you've succeeded. I think if you can pique people's interest and make them want to have these answers, but know they're not going to get them until the very end, it keeps somebody engaged. Child's Play is a perfect example of that. Look, it is heavily alluded to, if not clearly spelled out for us, within the first 30 minutes of this movie that this doll is evil. We know that, but we don't get to see that. We hear things secondhand from our protagonist, Andy Barclay. We see things happen, but we don't see Chucky do them. It makes the viewer question so much throughout this movie. You want to rule Andy out, but at times you don't know if you can. You want to think that maybe he's just crazy and there's something else going on, but you honestly don't know because those answers haven't been given to you clearly yet. That's really the genius of this script, put together by Tom Holland, Don Mancini, and John LaFia. In a lot of ways, Child's Play at times feels like it's almost a crime movie, a mystery movie. It doesn't feel like a slasher. And even nowadays, I don't know if I would consider it that. It's got parts supernatural horror, parts crime, thriller, mystery, a lot in there, not so much slasher. It wouldn't be until years later that Child's Play would go full bore into slasher territory, but I don't think it began in 1988. And in going back and watching this movie again for the first time in a few years, I found myself surprised at a lot of things that I thought I knew, that I was just wrong about. One, for example, is I always thought that Alex Vincent was bad in this movie and he got better in Child's Play too. I gotta be honest with you. Aside from a scene here or there, I thought he did pretty good for a kid actor. Specifically, the scene that sticks out to me is when Andy is crying in the institution room when Chucky is scaling up the building to get him and he's like, he's coming to kill me. That's really good acting by a small child. To be able to cry and fall apart like that on command, that I've got to give it up for him. And then peppered throughout the movie, you have great performances that really elevate this thing to the movie that it is today. Chris Sarandon is great in this film. Catherine Hicks is great as Andy's mom. I really think that the cast of characters that we spend a lot of time focusing on really anchor the movie. Now, it's not just the fact that we don't get a lot of answers and clarity till the third act of the movie that makes this a monster movie. No, it is specifically how they handle their antagonist. A lot of the shots that we get of Chucky when Chucky is in the act of doing something is from the POV of the killer. Shots like that are really important in movies like this because it makes the mind wander. You're seeing through this killer's perspective, but you're envisioning what this killer is looking like in the midst of this act. And you're not getting those answers. And I feel like the way they handle the camera here, Tom Holland did a fantastic job with that because it feels so animalistic and mysterious, and it only adds to the fact that this is being treated like a monster. Another thing that makes this a monster movie is specifically the third act, because once it's revealed that Chucky is Charles Lee Ray and he has been committing these crimes, as we all suspected, or at least hoped would be the case and not be Andy Barclay, when it goes into a balls to the wall third act, you end up with your antagonist literally being turned into a physical monster. Look, I've talked to my buddy Mark about this before, and I think it's undeniable that that burnt up Chucky at the end of this movie is horrifying. I was actually scared showing this to my son at the final scene where his decapitated head says,
"I'm Chucky. Wanna play?"
because I was worried that would give my kid nightmares. Because I specifically remember that moment as a kid freaking me out. Sometimes it's almost kind of funny watching like a little person dressed up as Chucky running around here and there, or seeing this doll moving around. But when you see that doll burnt to a crisp and still talking and still just going at these people, saying these heinous things, trying to kill them, there's something about it that gets under your skin. They fully morph this mysterious monster into a literal monster at the end of this movie. And I think it is another reason why this movie has the staying power that it does, because that's going to stick with you. Look, we all know that Chucky would eventually get turned into a jokester. Sure, he was a murderer, but he's cracking jokes, he's having fun, and we came to know and love this guy. And when you watched a Child's Play movie, especially nowadays, you're not going in there to be freaked out. I would make the case that the only truly scary Child's Play movie as a whole is Child's Play 1988. Child's Play 2 has a couple moments, specifically in the third act, but if you're looking for an old school monster movie that's really going to get under your skin and stick with you, whether that's through the dialogue, whether that's through the imagery, whether that's through the way they handle this character and the mystery that permeates almost 70 minutes of this movie, this is the movie. This is the movie for you. You don't need to go back in time to the 50s or 60s to find a movie that handles a monster this way, that handles a mystery this way. No, we had one in 1988. And it's honestly interesting to see where Child's Play went from here, because while I love the franchise as a whole, I mean, look behind me, that's not to say that I wouldn't have also been interested to see what could have been had they doubled down on this take on the character. Also just want to say, if you do not have the 4K that came out in 2022 from Scream Factory, I implore you to get this thing. This is the best audio and video presentation you are going to find of Child's Play. Not just that, it is absolutely jam-packed with special features. And one of the best things about these 4K transfers is when they're able to do it from the original camera negative, which they did with this film. Watching this thing tonight with my son, I'm sitting here thinking like, holy crap, he's seeing Child's Play for the first time in like the best possible presentation. It was not like this when I watched it as a kid. I had told you guys that I was going to cover some more things this October, and one of them was going to be Child's Play more, because I love this franchise and I don't feel like I've talked about it enough on my channel. But I also said that I wasn't going to just do revisited reviews of these movies. There's no point in doing that. I wanted to go at this a different way. So I chose to tackle Child's Play 1988 in the way of saying it's a monster movie, and here's why it's a monster movie. And I think that's why it's so effective. While Child's Play 1988 is not my favorite of the franchise, we will get there, I think it is inarguably a classic. I think it is a great movie, and I think if you're someone that doesn't like the later movies, there's no way you couldn't like this one. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you agree that Child's Play is a monster movie? And is it the reason why it has stuck with you for so many years? Is this a movie you haven't gone back and revisited in a long time, and maybe you want to think about doing that now? Whatever it is about Child's Play, I want to hear your thoughts down below in the comments section, so please sound off. I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video. Make sure to leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.